Okay, I know I said no more text-to-speech. But after researching more, I had a lot of information I needed to correct. So let's get to it. Should you pull for Jihl Nabaat? Let's go to her roles. They are a melee attacker, healer, and battery. Her skill 1, Drain Slash, deals 3 HP attacks with 150% splash, granting the party brave by 20% of the HP damage dealt, and healing herself by 50% of the damage dealt, up to 40% of max HP. If there is any excess healing, it will instead go to her allies, up to 20% of their max HP. Core Reinforcements, her skill 2, is an instant turn rate ability that force charges, grants the party brave by 100% of Jill's max brave, and gives her overhead, Azure Behemoth for 4 turns. Azure Behemoth grants her follow-up, that triggers at the start of the next turn. It deals 3 split HP attacks and grants the party brave by 20% of the HP damage dealt. Sacrifice Spawn, her X, deals 5 split HP attacks, and the way you get the plus version is when Jihl is buffed with Azure Behemoth. The plus version, instead, deals 7 split HP attacks, healing herself by 50% of HP damage dealt, and like her skill 1, excess healing goes to allies, up to 40% of their max HP. It also inflicts onto all enemies the debuff days for 1 turn, and afterwards, cancels Azure Behemoth. All-out attack order, Jihl Zeld, is an instant turn rate move that deals 4 split HP attacks, granting the party brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, increasing her skill uses by 1, filling her X gauge to max, granting Azure Behemoth for 4 turns, and lastly, granting the buff offensive maneuvers for 12 turns. Call Assistance Turks, her Refer attack, inflicts onto all enemies days for 1 turn. Malicious Surge, her BT effect, lasts for 8 turns, giving a party HP cap up of 30%, making Jill's follow-up trigger twice, and also having a fun effect where whenever her overhead, Azure Behemoth, is cancelled or expired, she automatically triggers her skill 2 at the start of the next turn. And yes, by her BT allowing automatic use of her skill 2, you will still be getting a force charge, party battery, and a reactivation of the overhead. Moving on to Jill's buffs and debuffs. Offensive maneuvers gives a party brave regen by 50% of the turn holder's attack. Daze, her debuff, is a paralysis, meaning the enemy cannot move while it is inflicted. Jill's force conditions. You get a 40% increase whenever anyone uses a melee ability, and a last 40% increase when dealing multi-target HP damage. To my knowledge, this isn't just strictly AoE either. Split attacks as well as splash attacks count as well. Going to her pros. If you haven't noticed already, Jihl is kind of good. Her main use is a very heavy hitter with great utility. Her damage is nothing to laugh at. With her BT active, you'll be seeing 9 to 13 HP attacks with all of Jill's moves. Her X Blast would equal a total of 13 split HP attacks. The great thing also with her is that in almost every attack she does, she batteries the party with huge brave, including in her follow-up. But we're not done yet. If your party is having trouble in the moment and you need some good healing options, guess what? Jill's skill 1 and her X, her strongest ability, both heal her and the party. She's a DPS unit that is far from selfish. She helps the party in so many ways, including with force charging. Jihl is one of the few non-main support units that can FR charge. Not just with her skill 2 either, her BT allows her to use the move automatically as well upon her overhead effect wearing off. So you get both direct and passive force charging. On the enemy side, in case they want to be cute and sneak a turn in, Jihl also has a paralysis to stop them right in their tracks. On top of all this, her FR conditions themselves are pretty easy. In my opinion, dealing multi-target HP attacks are much more frequent in this game nowadays than strictly single target, so I think this condition personally is a generic one to fulfill. The hardest one out of the two would be the melee ability, which if your roster is big enough by now, you should be fine with. Let's go to Jill's cons. Jill's strongest attack by far is her X+, but her skill 1 is lacking a bit. 3 HP attacks, not even split, just one splash. I don't know. Yes, her follow-ups help compensate for it, however, it is inconvenient the skill itself isn't that strong. It really doesn't become a good DPS option until Jill's BT becomes active. Secondly, Jill's BT effect does last 8 turns, however, it won't last that long if you constantly use her instant turn rate held. It's great for burst damage and you are trying to rush. However, for battles where you need her to last longer, continuous cell juice could be an issue. Is Jill's BT necessary? Yes. Her burst allows her X to retain its plus version, as well as a huge attack boost with her follow-ups triggering twice. But if you can't green her at the moment, her utility is still nice, and her damage will still be okay for a third-party unit. My should you pull rating for Jihl Nabaat is an A+. She is an extremely well-rounded offensive unit. Great damage, great utility. Oh, she also has nice stats.